Chef Billie. Let's get into it. So let's go ahead and introduce the lady of the hour. Chef Billie Sutton has a very relatable story, ladies and gentlemen. For most of us that is actually here in this chat room. From a young age, she always knew that she had a true passion for baking, cooking, as well as education. This was inspired by her edible creations at her mom's bakery. Yes, her mom had a bakery, you guys. Once Chef Billie realized that she was going to make a career out of her love of food, she decided to go to the New School of Cooking and the California School of Culinary Arts, the Le Cordon Bleu program. In addition to her culinary training, she also attained a nutrition certification from the West LA College, as well as a food science certificate from Harvard EDX. And finally, Chef Billie completed her Chef of the Cuisine exam from the American Culinary Federation with her famous catchphrase, and I just absolutely adore it: baking is love made visible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just roll out this red carpet for Billie with today's presentation on contemporary pastry plating. Take it away, Chef Billie.
Yay! Thank you so much. Such an amazing introduction. Thank you, Minette. I'm not going to lie, I took that from a student. I had a student engrave that on a spatula for me, and it warmed my heart, and it just meant everything to me. And it's true. That's, we love food, we love cooking and baking, and then we showcase it on the plate, hence our plating presentation. So I couldn't be more happy for you to be here. Welcome, and especially doing my favorite thing. Everything about pastry and baking is awesome. But when you really kind of find your niche, some people love cake decorating, some people love cupcakes. Cookie decorating cookie art is the big thing nowadays. I've seen a lot of that. For me, it's plating presentation. I love making everything, little components of everything: cakes, flan, custard, sauce, caramel, and then plating it and making it kind of my own personality on the plate, so to say. We are also celebrating Holi, our festival of spring and festival of color. So it's represented and celebrated in Southeast Asia. It is a Hindu celebration and holiday where they'll often go around town in the city throwing different colored powders, celebrating life, and basically conquering good over evil, which is really very important these days, especially. So I think it's great that we get to celebrate in spring. So after today, please make sure you go outside. If you're in an environment that has flowers and it's not too cold, try to look around and enjoy the colors of spring. So I'm gonna get going and show you a little bit about our presentation today. But I am, as you saw, hopefully on our little flyer, I'm gonna do a plate that is actually done in our PA 221 class. It's in our week 1. So it's a panna cotta. I did a vanilla panna cotta. We work with fruit coulis, which is actually creating different sauces. You'll be able to see a little bit clearer once I get on my station, but I've created little sauces out of fruit. Candied nuts. So we're gonna have candied pistachios. My way of doing it, impersonation, I can't say the word. Anyway, my way of doing it. And then a couple other little fun little garnishes. So let's get going. I'm going to show you my station now. So we're gonna say goodbye to my face for one moment. Minette's gonna take over for 2 seconds.
All right. So, who is excited about coming in and learning how to make beautiful plating presentations? Just put a 1 in the chat line. So, and if anybody, yeah, look at that. Look at all these people. Oh, look at all these exclamation points. Wow, look at all these 1s. Chef Billie, oh, these people are ready for you
All right,
today.
good. Then I'm ready too. I'm ready too. Let's do it then. All right, so first our panna cotta. So this is our panna cotta. It's basically made out of a gelatin. You could also do a vegan version made out of agar-agar, but essentially it could be milk, it could be cream, half and half, it could be a mixture of all of them. Your choice. Essentially, fat is the content that's going to add a nice amount of flavor to it. So that's the difference between our heavy whipping cream, half and half, which is half milk, half cream, and then milk. So simply made, mixed together, and then, you know, add that gelatin. Recipes are going out to you. And then you put it in a mold. If there's a ramekin mold you have, I really like silicone molds as well. So I'm going to first start off and show you all of our components, then we'll plate. So as you can see here, these are our tuile cookies, almond tuile cookies. And essentially, they're made out of basically like a little bit of a sugar cookie. It's very much so the same thing that you order when you get Chinese food and you get a fortune cookie. So I'm going to put my gloves on. I'm a big glove person because then I could touch all my components that may be sticky or maybe delicate. So I could show you a little closer here. Okay, so what I did is I actually took this cookie, and then once it came out of the oven, I'm able to spread it. And I didn't use a stencil. Sometimes people have a little stencil for this. I actually just spread my it's an egg white sugar cookie. So it's pliable. So you're able to kind of move it when it's warm, and you're able to kind of manipulate that shape a little bit. So we're going to utilize a little bit of height with that. I have a little pistachio garnish that I have just to crush pistachios and crush them. Playing around with sugar. Okay, so I have a little, this is my interpretation, yay, I made up for it, okay, of candied pistachios. So I basically took a little cookie cutter and then made a caramel sauce where I'm just heating sugar, okay, sugar and water, and then you basically make a caramel, and then with this, I just made a little mold, and then I added my nuts in there. So as we can see, you're able to get a really neat sort of kind of beautiful look and presentation. You could be creative. It is edible. It's essentially candy. All right. And then last but not least, we have our sauces. So we have a little bit of a mango coulis sauce that I took fresh mango, blended it with sugar and water in a blender. That's my mango coulis. And then I wanted to get creative with it. And I like seasonal ingredients. So what's in season now? We have raspberries in season, and then pomegranate. So this is a pomegranate raspberry sauce. So I do want to respect our flavors of India and Southeast Asia as well. So that's why we have a little mango in there. Pistachio is a flavor often utilized. We have little almond in there. So playing around with all those fun flavors. So let's get going. Let's get our plating going. Any questions, Minette, before I get into it? That if you wanted to kind of verbally ask me, that would be awesome.
Well, no problem. Chef Billie, I'm just excited about what you're getting ready to present for us right now. And just hearing about the raspberry, oh my gosh, that and pomegranate, that's my favorite. I kind of like them in my martinis, but I think I could do this here too.
Awesome. Nice.
But right, if anybody has, go ahead.
Oh, good. Sorry. Go for it.
No, I was going to tell all the participants that's here, if you have any questions in between, we will answer those as well. So you can go ahead and post your questions, and then I will let Chef Billie know what they are, and she'll be able to answer those for you in between takes. Okay. Well, let's let her do her thing. We're getting set up.
All right. So one part is our food, right? Second part is our tools. Okay, making sure I'm always controlling that product. There's heat around, so we want to make sure we're not melting anything. So this is an awesome, fun little tool, little tweezers, food tweezers, where you're able to kind of do all that beautiful plating and get really exact with it. This is a little dropper, believe it or not. If you want to do some fun, make a caramel, you want to drop it in water to see it solidify. There's molecular gastronomy as well, which I'm a big fan of, where you're able to basically repurpose the shape of an ingredient. So I could take a tomato and puree it, puree it with something called sodium alginate. Then I would take that mixture and I could put that into a mold that looks like a strawberry and it will solidify. So now we're eating something that looks like a strawberry, but tastes like a tomato. So you're able to kind of mess with people's head a little bit and do a lot of fun things. You could do like a cocoa caviar, where we're able to take cocoa and again, use a little dropper, drop that in. If we've ever been to Yogurtland or what's another one, Pinkberry, they have those little kind of jelly little balls. That's what you're able to do. These are just cool little plating tools to make it a little bit easier to kind of manipulate what you want to work with and control your surfaces. Okay, spoon, always need that spoon for your saucing. Drop your sauce. These are grown-up tweezers, that's all. Just to look cool, put on your chef jacket, but it could be utilized for many things. And then honestly, for the pastry chef, offset spatula is everything. The mini offset spatula. I could keep going with tools. These are more plating tools than anything. I think we are ready to get this party started. So let's do it.
Chef Billie, I do have a couple of concerns that some of the students are saying, because your plates that you are showing us are absolutely gorgeous, and have a few students saying that, will I get points taken off in class because I have ugly plates or
Oh,
or solid white plates, you know, so they're worried about their plates and they're thinking they need to place orders. So
no. But World Market and Bed Bath and Beyond are great places to go for items like this. Even Walmart has some cute sections. I'm, like you mentioned, I'm a food stylist. In fact, I actually got called to do the Ellen show today, but I say no during the day. I do my food styling out of office hours, but that one hurt a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So as a food stylist, just having everything, every little placement matters, having that cool spoon, having little placemats. But no, absolutely not. I think you guys will be okay. You are good. All right. Anything else before I get the party started? I stay hydrated, by the way, so if you see me move, I need my water.
no, you are good to go. We're ready for you.
All right, so now I'm going to get all my components. Again, I'm being very aware of that caramel. I got a lot of lights around me, whether you can tell or not. So I don't want that to melt, and that's also something to kind of think about. So first I'm going to start with my panna cotta. Very safely. And if you notice, I plated my plating station as well with my little placemats. So I'm going to take my panna cotta, like this one, I think. Make sure we're going nicely in there. Safe, safe, safe. And that's why I love having those gloves. I could go in. Boom. I want to offset this a little bit. I don't want it in the center. That's just me. So now I'm feeling like I want maybe another little tool to help me out. Less fingers, the better. So that's something that's kind of hard for us to think about a lot of the times. We want to add, want to get too touchy with it. And it's something to think about. People have different size hands and fingers. If you have really big hands, it's going to be a little trickier. Now I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to create a little hole in my panna cotta. So I'm going to use a cutter, going right in, I'm going to off angle it a little bit. Let's get in there. Okay, I worried more than I had to. I think because I know you're all watching. All right, so that worked out well. So now I have that. So now I'm going to take this, maybe put that right there. Something kind of fun. I'm going to take my sauce, my awesome little pomegranate and raspberry, and I'm going to put my sauce right in there. Why not? I'd never seen that before. I thought that was cool. I think it's great when you start in the industry to find a mentor on TV, in your life, whomever. I can never say his name correctly, so I apologize, Chef, but Grant Ake. He has a restaurant called Linea, I think another restaurant called Next in Chicago, and he is mind-blowing. So his concept is just think out of the box. Okay, if it hasn't, just try to think of something that maybe has not been done before. So that's what I always do. So now what I'm going to do is I have that. I think I'm going to play around with my height a little bit. So we do want a little bit of height. I'm going to take this. All these garnishes I may not use. Okay, I just have backup. When you do plating, have backup, 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 and more backup. See what happens if I do this. Gonna work or is it gonna fall? I don't know, but I have backup. So that worked out well. Woohoo. See, now I'm gonna do my caramel last because of this lighting. So now I'm gonna play around, do a little saucing here. So when we're doing our contemporary plating, you want key components. You need to have, for a contemporary plated dessert, you need a main component, which is my panna cotta. You need a sauce. You need a crunch, which is my tuile cookie. So we got our sauce here, right? I want to put this here. We'll do a little progression. So we'll go a little bigger there. And then we'll go a little bit smaller there. There we go. So sauce, main ingredient, crunch, and garnish. So I need my garnish. So that's where this fun little thing comes in. Okay, so what I'm going to do, make sure we can see everything. So again, in plating, things could go right or they could go wrong. I had this cool, oh, perfect. So I made these cool little sugar spirals that kept wanting to stick together. So I let them. It's okay, I'll fix that. We're going to take this. Boom. There we go. There we go. Hey, you. Okay, so it's a delicate balance. So what I realized is my cool little height that I like isn't the sturdiest thing I've ever seen. So I'm going to make it sturdier. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of weight on it. There we go. So now I've manipulated, because guess what? A server or somebody needs to take this out to a plate, to a customer. So I obviously do not want to give them something that they cannot move. Okay, so I like this, but I think I might play around, put a little color on there. Here we go. And now we have our candied pistachios as well. As you can see, I kind of like doing things in kind of a round formation. There we go. Okay, letting this cookie take me down. There we go. Ooh, this is good that this is happening, because this is the reality of plating. It could be a little bit stressful. And I think for me, the issue is a little bit that lighting. Cool. And now we got our little discs of our candied pistachios. So I'm going to take that, do a little bit. So now I have a flow and a progression of our circle, and our disc is going all the way around. Okay, and that kind of just naturally sort of happened. I notice I love doing plating kind of with round shapes and movement. So I see a little, look at that, you got a little sauce there. There we go.
I love all the tweaks that you can do there, Chef Billie. That's
Yeah, like
awesome.
when people think people plate perfectly, I don't even know if I'm going to use that guy. We'll see what happens. I don't even think I'm going to use that guy. We might go with this guy. But this is the reality of it, is it's something that needs to be played with and kind of manipulated a little bit. Doesn't always come out perfectly.
So no two plates are ever the same, basically.
No, they, well, they are. Then you have, I purposely did this. I'm somebody that creates a blueprint of my plating. And then what I do is I have my vision, I know what I want to do, and then I go to plate it. And then I see what naturally happens. And then if this is what I know I need to do, I'm going to replicate this because I know that I need to produce this at the Academy Awards 100 times. And this is my plate. I know I want to have that round tuile. I want to have a couple of broken ones in between. I want to have my mango. I got my little pistachio dust. You know, that's kind of how we did it. And I think everybody has their own little way and will find their artistry in their plating. But we got our little bit of height here. We got our panna cotta. We got our candied disc. We got our sauce. We got our garnish as well, which is providing a little bit of color. And then we're always looking for, I heard this, it refers to catering, but it's called buff. Balance, unity, flow, and focal point. So I'm happy with this. My focal point is my panna cotta. I'm happy with the balance. I do have some negative space. I haven't overcrowded and I got a flow. So everybody kind of finds their zen with it. So that's
And you know
mine.
what? And that's beautiful. And actually, there was a student I was asking on here, how do you keep your plates looking the same even after several platings?
Oh, what do you, like how do you keep them consistent? So if this was really plating and we're doing multiple plating, it's assembly line. So you would have that plate. So I have, again, I think it was the comedy awards or some event, a couple events where it's huge and you have all the plates lined out and you have one person panna cotta. That's all they do. Next person does the sauce. And then you have somebody, an executive chef coming around behind. And if it's not correct, they correct it then. This isn't right. And then somebody has to go back around and whoever didn't do it right's hiding. But that's how it is. And then if it's cold, it's a cold dish, desserts should always be plated on cold dishes or cold food. Sorry, cold food should always be plated on cold dishes, hot food on hot dishes. So that, I don't know if you want, well, we're looking at the plate, we're good. But then we would have a box that's cold and you put all the plates in and then they roll it out. And that's kind of how it works. But yeah, if you looked really meticulously, I guarantee there's a little nut off on one plate or another. But for the most part, they're probably 98% accurate.
Gotcha. I did have a student in here ask that, what is your favorite plating tool and why?
That's a great question. Honestly, silicone molds, because that silicone mold, see, look, we're melting in the caramel. My caramel does not like this light, but we'll see what happens. And I got a couple other things. Sorry, we could show. So to add to it, we'll see if one thing didn't work. We got another. So we'll just add a little, boom. See what happens there. Didn't like that. There we go. So silicone molds, because you can make so many fun different shapes and manipulate things. So I'm a big fan of that, even though it may not sound very, very exciting. All right, and our caramel's melting. Any other questions?
Oh yeah, these students are pulling out
But I
these
got
questions for you.
All right, let's go for
Oh
it.
yeah. All right. So another question I got for you is that in class, will a student be asked to make creative plating decisions or will they be asked to replicate what the instructor made?
On a plated, so in your PA221, the plated desserts, no, for the most part, the plating is a lot, there's creativity allowed in that plating. So they'll show you components in the videos you'll watch of how to make it. So for example, this one, you'll see the panna cotta. And chefs will often show example plates in their class of the finished product. But generally, as far as plating, they won't have to replicate an exact plating. It would be more getting creative, but replicating the components correctly. Like make sure you do the candied nuts right, the panna cotta, the sauce. And then I suggest being creative and have fun. And then you give them sample ideas as well.
All right. So then the next question I got for you, Chef Billie, is it easy to overcrowd or undercrowd?
Less is more. Always in food and cooking, less is more. Always, even though I kept going on this because we're melting the caramel and the lights, so I just keep adding to it. But you could always add more, and always think of that negative space. We're not trying to overcrowd. Claim Jumper and Cheesecake Factory are great restaurants, but they're all about big portions. So we want to kind of give a little bit of room on the plate to have them have that negative space. And it's best to start with a little and then keep adding versus having to take away and wipe that plate and etc.
All right, very good. Yeah, I'm telling you, these questions are coming in, Chef Billie. So somebody wants to know, how do you make those cool caramel spirals?
Oh, that's easy. So you make caramel and you so caramel, can easily be made with just sugar. Put sugar in a pan, let it heat. I like to make something called a wet sand, where I add a little bit of water. So it looks like, you know, when you go to the beach, there's wet sand in your toes. That's what we're looking for. And then essentially, I add a little acid, little lemon juice keeps it from crystallizing. So you cook that sugar till you see an amber or caramel color around the edge, swirl that, let that cool. So that's the big thing, is you take a spoon and you just kind of let it cool. And you let it kind of cool in the air. And then once it's cooled to the right temperature, you have a whisk. And then a whisk, or I thought these questions would happen. A whisk or a rolling pin, whatever you choose. And then you essentially then take your spoon with your cool caramel and you go like this. It takes patience. It takes practice, and you're just going around and it creates a spiral. You could spray the whisk or the rolling pin, if you like, with a pan spray to make sure it doesn't stick. And then you just slide it right off with whatever that thing was. All right.
Wow, you made that look really, really easy.
But I like to be careful with the caramel. It likes to touch. So make sure if you're making those spirals, keep them away from each other.
Awesome. Gotcha.
I'm going to switch to my face real quick so everybody can see me.
I got another good question for you here from another student. They said, which dessert is the most finicky that you have worked with?
I think everybody will always say, and I know a lot of my former students will say, meringues and souffles are definitely takes a lot of patience to understand that process. And then again, like I mentioned a million times, it may not be the person, it could be environment. So if it's, sugar attracts moisture, if it's a moist environment, that's going to be tricky with your meringues. And then souffles could fall because eggs are very temperamental. Right, man?
Right. Now then somebody said, okay, from going from finicky, so now they're saying, which one is your favorite to plate?
I like this. I like the panna cotta. I think that might be why I chose it. I like custards. I'm more of a vanilla versus chocolate sort of thing. So I like how you're able to kind of play around and manipulate that. I like, one of my favorites is it tastes just like Fruit Loops. If you take coconut milk, lemongrass, and ginger, and a little sugar, and cook it together, and then I add that agar-agar gelatin, and then I then like to take mango and kind of make a cool little design. And then I will put that at the bottom of a silicone mat and then pour that mixture over. So now you have this beautiful color and this great dessert that kind of tastes tropical and like Fruit Loops, believe it or not.
Wow, and that's like one of my favorite childhood cereals too.
It's
So
good.
that's amazing.
And without the, well, there's sugar, but not Fruit Loop sugar.
Well, that's okay. It's just the adult version now since I'm grown, so I could see that. All right. Yeah, these questions are rolling in. So we got a student here that said they just graduated from the online culinary program. So
Oh,
yay! Congratulations. And
congratulations.
she said that she's having a little trouble getting the right consistency for her panna cotta. So how can you determine if you have the right consistency?
You're looking for, I tend to make mine, I like a little firmer, so I add a little more gelatin. I mean, it should have that kind of jiggle to it, a little bit like a flan. So if you're not getting, if it's too loose, then we need to make sure maybe we're letting it sit in the fridge longer and setting, because our at least the Escoffier panna cotta recipe is a nice solid recipe, so we know that works well. If you're working with different ones, just kind of manipulate. If it's too loose, add a little bit more gelatin. If it's becoming a little too firm, then we're going to maybe take a little bit out. But the key thing is making sure that we are letting it set long enough in that refrigerator, and adding it properly to our liquid as well. So it could be many of those little factors, but I would play around depending on the end result you're looking for.
Okay, that sounds good. I hope that helped for you. Oh my goodness, here we go. I got to roll this thing back up. All right, so so is there a difference between store-bought eggs and farm fresh eggs when making a meringue? Um, the student says that they have some chickens and was wondering would the freshness help?
Yes, absolutely. The fresher, the better, always with in baking any quality eggs. So I always suggest that if you do have, we're good. Lighting's still good though. If we do have neighbors that have fresh eggs, use them, because basically it's just going to have more of a stronger cellular structure. The longer that egg sits there, basically it just loses that volume. If you ever notice you open an egg that's been a little old, the egg white's loose, right? It doesn't have that kind of gelatinousness. So the fresher the egg from your neighbor, the better. Absolutely.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Well, I don't know about where I stay. I don't think I could have a bunch of chickens around the house. So
Neighbor.
I know, get a neighbor, get a neighbor. That's right. Now, which silicone molds are your favorites, you would say?
I have them all. Amazon. I mean, I wish I almost had them. I should have brought them, but I do like the one that I use. I like this one. That's, oh, yeah, that's kind of fun. There's the dome one as well. That is like a half dome. So that one's really fun because you could play around. I know the cocoa bomb, is that what it's called, is really popular, where you could make, so with that half moon one, basically imagine a half dome. You could take it, paint chocolate in it, and then do it with another dome, and then put your, cocoa and whatever, and then you seal it. So you can make your own little cocoa bomb. So I like that. But I have many of them, little squares. They're all fun. But it's really
Okay.
cool too for the big cake decorating. So sometimes you might see a cake that you're like, how did they get that shape? It's because of a really cool mold. They put like mirror glass cake is a popular one, where you could just put, that cake in that mold, get the frosting in, whatever you need, and then it pops out really nice and clean.
All right. Well, Chef Billie, man, I'm telling you, just this little bit of time, I've learned so much from you, and I'm excited about trying out some of these different little shapes and see. So maybe I might actually, well, I know I won't be asked for Ellen or anybody like you were, but I could at least kind of maybe have my friends and family be impressed by what I've done. Any,
That's all that
any,
matters.
that's right. Any last words you'd like to give our students today?
Thank you for joining. Please, the one thing I've noticed when it comes to plating is stop being your own worst enemy. You know, I am not, when it comes to drawing, artistically, not my jam. I wish I could. It just doesn't. I'm always kind of drawing out the line and then just making something with that thing out of the line. But when it comes to plating, you know, it's all about, like I mentioned, we're looking for that balance. We're looking for textures, colors, height, and that negative space. So even if you don't think you're artistic, that's fine. Just play around with different colors, different shapes, and different textures on a plate, and don't make it too crowded. And you know, have fun. I do suggest, for me, like I mentioned before, inspiration is important. So I will always look at, you know, top 10 restaurants in the US or the world, or my favorite, you know, restaurants or websites, and look at different pictures. There's something called Michelin Star Chefs. They have a Facebook page, which is super inspiring. So I'll look there, and then I get ideas, and then I make it my own. So you're not sitting there for hours, like trying to, you know, figure out how to create this amazing thing, but you kind of feel it through the process.
All right.
And thank you for joining.
All right. Well, thank you again, Chef Billie. It has been truly an honor and a pleasure to have you with us today. All right. So just out of curiosity, you guys, how many of you all have learned a lot from Chef Billie today? If you did, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat line. How many of you are, wow, these ones are rolling. Look, I got exclamation points for these ones.
Yay. Oh, cool. No freeze. Yay.
Right. Oh my gosh, they're rolling, they're rolling, they're rolling. All right. Well, Chef Billie, thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening, okay?
Thank you. You too. Bye, everybody. Thank you for
Uh,
joining.